Hello everyone and welcome to a new lesson. We are having the Arabic alphabet part 2. Today's lesson we will have the letters from Ra until Ghain. Let's start with the letter Ra. In English it equals R, like in the word rat. Let's move to the forms of letter Ra. First I have the basic form, which we call it detached form. This one is not connected to any letters from previous or after it, like in the word ra's, which means a head. Also, I have the attached form, which has one hand from the right in order to be connected to the previous letter, like in the word qamar, which means a moon. Let's learn how to write the letter Ra. First, you need to notice the line. Then you start writing from above and you go down like a slide. The thing you need to notice, the Ra is divided, half of it is above the line and the other half is below. Let's move now to the second letter, Zai. The letter Zai equals in English Z, like the word zero. And as you can notice, it's exactly the same like the letter Ra, but we have one dot above the letter. Also, it's sharing the same forms. The first form which I have, basic form, or which we call it detached, which is have no length from right or left, like in the word zaytun, which means olive. The other form is attached Zai, which has one hand from the right as well, just to be attached to the previous letter, like in the word khubz, which means a bread. Now we will write the letter Zai. Here is my line, and I will start from above and I go down just like a slide, then you put the dot above. Also, half of the Zai is above the line and the other half is below. Let's continue with the third letter for today, the letter sheen, which equals S in English, like the word snake. This letter has four forms. The first form, which I call it the basic, I put it generally at the end of the word when it's not attached to any previous letter. The second form is the initial form, which has one hand from the left in order to be connected to the next letter. Then I have the medial, which has two hands from right and left to be connected from both sides. The final form is just like the basic, but it has one hand from the right. Some examples about the forms. For the basic, like in the word faras, which means a horse. The initial form, which is starting the word samak, which means fish. Then the medial sheen in the word jism, which means body. And the final sheen, I have it in shams, which means sun. Let's write the letter sheen. First, you see the line. Then I am starting from above. I will have like a little tooth, followed by another tooth. Then I have the big semicircle on the line. After sheen, I have the letter sheen, which is exactly like sheen, but in addition to this, I have three dots above. Sheen in English equals SH, like shine. This letter has four forms. The basic form, which is detached from any letters, like in the word qirsh, which means a shark. Then the initial form, which is attached from the left, like the word shajar, which means a tree. Then the medial form, which has two hands from right and from left, like the word ريشة, which means a feather. The last form, sheen final. This one has only one hand from the right, and it's very similar to the basic, like the word عش, which means a nest. Let's write the letter sheen. First, as usual, you can notice the line. First, I have a little tooth, followed by another tooth, then the semicircle, which will be on the line. And for sure, don't forget the 3 dots above. Let's move now to the letter Saad, which equals S in English, but this is heavy S, like in the word sun. This letter, it has 4 forms. The first one is basic form, which has no hands, right or left, so it's just alone, like in the word إجاز, equals pair. Then I have the initial form, which is starting the word and has only one hand from the left, like in the word صقر, which means falcon. Then the medial form, for the Saad, it has one hand from the right and another hand from the left, like in the word بصل, which means onion. The final form is exactly like the basic, but it has one hand from the right in order to be ending the word, like in the word مقص, scissors. Let's write the letter صاد. As usual, this is my line. I will start on the line by having the loop first. It will be touching the line. Then you go with the semicircle below the line. After Saad, I have the letter Dhad, which is unique for the Arabic language. If you can notice, Saad and Dhad are very similar in the shape, but Dhad has one dot above. It sounds like D in English, but it's a little heavier. The forms of the letter Dhad are 4. First, the basic form, which is detached to any of the letters from the word, like in the word أرض, which means earth. Then, the initial form, which is starting the word and has one hand from the left, like in the word ضيف, which means a guest. Then the medial dot, it has 2 hands from right and left, like in the word أخضر, which means green. The final form of the letter ضاد is like the basic form, but it has one hand from the right in order to be connected to the previous letters, like in the word بيض, which means egg. Now we will write the letter ضاد. As usual, I have my line. I will start with the loop, it's on the line, then the semicircle will go below the line, and don't forget the dot above. The letter Thah, which equals T but heavy, Thah. The letter Thah also has 4 forms. The basic form, which has no hands, like in the word قرط, which means earrings. Then I have the initial form of Thah, which has one hand from the left in order to be connected to the next letter, like in the word طبل, which means drums. Then the medial form, it has 2 hands from the right and also the left, in the word بطة, which means a duck. The final form, as usual, it looks like the basic, but with one hand from the right, like in the word مشط, which means come. Let's write the letter Thah. My line is here. I will be writing it exactly on the line. You will start writing a loop, then the little line will come above this loop. After Thah, I have the letter Dha, which looks like it, but with a little difference, we have one dot on Dha. So also, this letter equals TH in English, but it's heavier. Dhah, dhah. The letter Dhah has 4 forms. The basic form, which has no hands or it's not connected to any letters, like in the word mahظوظ, which means lucky. Then I have the initial Dhah, which is starting the word and has one hand from the left, like the word ظفر, which means nail. Then the medial form, it has 2 hands from right and from left, like in the word عظم, which means bone. The final form is like the basic, but with one hand from the right, like the word حظ, which means luck. Let's write the letter Thah. On the line, immediately I will write this letter. You will start with the loop, and then the line will come exactly above it, and finally you put the dot. My last 2 letters for this lesson are Ghain and Ghain. Ghain equals deep sound of A, but eventually it's special for the Arabic language. You say it like Ain. Also, Ghain has 4 forms. The basic form, which is detached to any of the letters, like in the word shumu', which means candles. Then I have the initial form, which is starting the word and it has only one hand from the left, like in the word ain, which means an eye. Then I have the medial form, which has 2 hands from right and left, like in the word thu'ban, which means a snake. Eventually, I have the final ain, which is having one hand from the right, like in the word murabba, which means square. Let's write ain together. My line is my basic, so I will have to draw a little semicircle above the line, then bigger semicircle cutting the line and going below. And now we have reached the final letter in my lesson. It is the letter Ghain, which equals GH, Gha, Ghain. In the shape, it looks exactly like the letter Ain, but it has 1 dot above. Let's meet the forms of it. First, I have the basic form, which is as usual, it has no hands from right or left, like in the word faragh, which means space. And then the initial form for Ghain is starting the word with one hand from the left, just like in the word ghazal, which means deer. Then the medial form has 2 hands from right and from left, like in the word صغير, which means small. The final Ghain has one hand from the right, like in the word صمغ, which means glue. Let's now learn how to write the letter Ghain. As usual, here is my line. I will start a little semicircle from above the line, then go with bigger semicircle, crossing the line and going below, and at the end you put 1 dot above. This was our lesson for today. I hope you enjoyed it. In the next lesson, we will cover the third and the final part of the Arabic alphabet. If you have any questions related to my lesson, please leave it in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, salam.